Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 26 of Confessions of a Market Maker. I'm your co-host, Ray, a.k.a. All Day Ray, a.k.a. Penthouse Paulie. And I'm joined here with my esteemed co-host, former market maker of 20 years, a man who had an illustrious career on the now famed House Street in Vancouver, BC. Nowadays, he's a retail trader and educator with more patience than a single mother of three. You can find his TPO charts hanging on display in the Guggenheim. I'm talking about JJ. JJ, how's it going?
Good, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be back at it. It's been a couple of weeks since our last podcast. What you been up to, man? How's the trading been?
It's been good. It's been very, very interesting time in the market. Historical time in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of fun.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And, sure has.
Yeah.
Sure has. Yeah. No, I think, I'm making progress. Seem to be more consistent, still a work in progress. Working on revenge trading, emotions, et cetera. But, it's been fun. I'm really catching the bug for it. So today's topic, Jay, we're going to be talking about treating trading like a business. And I think we can both agree of the importance on this topic. And we feel like it doesn't get enough shine that
Definitely.
maybe it should.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's something that and coming from the other side of the trade desk, I'm quite surprised at how little that subject gets talked about at all, really.
Mm-hmm.
We do talk about pretty much everything else except that.
Yeah, definitely. So when we say treat trading like a business, what does that mean and why should we view trading in that manner?
Well, for me, I don't honestly, because I come from the other side of the desk, I sort of have a less glamorous view of trading.
Right.
That a lot of retail people have been sort of sold because of marketing, right? Because marketing, you got to sex it up, right?
Yep.
And I notice there seems to be a lot of that, of course, the sports car, all the trappings of success. But, you don't ever see a guy sitting at a desk journaling and looking at charts for 3 hours a night.
Yeah. Right. Uh-huh.
Or reading SEC filings, or going through his taxes. None of that stuff you see. It's sold at this glamorous lifestyle. We look at it on the other side a little bit differently. Not so glamorous. In the morning we used to come into the work and we'd be, hey, it's time to make the donuts. It's like that's what we thought. That's what we thought about it. We're like the Dunkin' Donuts guy, right? Because we were up at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, come in to make the donuts. So yeah, the business aspect of it, I think, will help a lot of people because we talk a lot about psychology and issues and things like that. And I'm not trying to say that stuff doesn't exist, but I think if people kind of took a little bit of a step back and kind of looked at it more black and white like a business, they would have a better time making good business decisions.
Exactly. It's intended, to increase the bottom line.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Being systematic, being disciplined. And just to touch on what you were saying about how like the marketing and it seemed like for people that don't do it or they don't like do it for a living, it seems glamorous. And, I always have this conversation with people. It's like pertaining to me with poker is that like they think, oh, it's so great. You don't have to like clock in. You don't have a boss to report to, but they don't know. Like, that's true. You know what I mean? And it is. And I do love that aspect of it. But the stress that comes along with it, it's like I don't just show up and I make like there's days I lose money.
Exactly.
There's months I lose. That's stressful.
Oh, definitely. Because I know nothing about the gambling world, right? And so I grew up and I thought poker players, I thought it was like James Bond, you're wearing a white dinner jacket, you're at a casino,
Hmm.
there's a beautiful woman standing next to you, your Aston Martin's out in the parking lot. It looked all very glamorous, but then you go and watch guys poker, and it's a bunch of guys who haven't had a shower in a long time, and they're
Yeah.
grinding
Dirty,
it out for
dirty.
5 grand. It's not, there's
Yeah.
no white dinner jacket, man. It's like,
Exactly. Well, that's why it's funny, no, and that's why I think Rounders is such a good movie because I think it really did like it showed
yeah,
the grind. You know what I mean? It's not all glitz and glamour,
no,
is what we're getting
no,
at. But
yeah, definitely
and I
not.
think that's why we wanted to talk about this too, is just because we I think we pride ourselves on just being real, just like not selling dreams, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah, every time, it's just a regular, normal business. And if we kind of keep that in mind, maybe we can keep our head on,
definitely.
keep our head screwed on a little bit tight. Hey, anything that we can do to get an advantage, right?
Absolutely. 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 And yeah, and I think that people that do have aspirations to do this full time, uh, to be aware of everything that comes along with it, the good and the bad
Oh, yeah.
as well. And so jumping into it, JJ, the first thing I want to talk about is, what we call in poker bankroll management, or maybe in trading, your account management. So like starting a business, right? Like we wouldn't start a business with, no money in the bank.
Yeah,
We wouldn't expect to make money right away, right? We need to pay ourselves.
exactly. Exactly. Right.
So, mhm,
That's number one. Number two, if you're learning how to trade, and you're trading something like a micro contract, and you're doing it with a 500 or $1,000 account, don't feel bad, because that's pretty much like you're going to community college, right, to take a
mhm,
business. Like, that's the way I look at that, right? And you shouldn't be using that to try and get rich, right? You're building the foundation of
right,
a business career,
right.
right?
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely. But I mean, if you're going into this and then once you progress, you need a bankroll, right?
Yep, yep,
So that, yeah, and that's something that you don't ever quit your job. You work and you can save up for,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, and until like you at
Yeah,
least, at least for me, and I think it's dependent for everybody, but like I didn't um just turn pro with poker without having results, without having consistency built up
hmm
over time.
hmm
And then with that as well as having money in the bank to account for a losing month, or
exactly.
et cetera, et cetera. And so like, yeah, people need to, these are things you need to keep in mind. Now, another thing pertaining to this, JJ, what are your thoughts on paying yourself of your account? Like, do you keep your account always at a certain balance? How do you regulate paying yourself? Almost kind of like, yeah, because it's not a regular job. We don't get paid every 2 weeks.
Exactly. I come from a very, very odd background, as you know. So I have, unfortunately, had the pain of experiencing when brokerage firms go under, when clearing firms go under. Um, you know, uh, you saw things like Revco and things like that in the futures industry, and you'd see I take money out every month, right? I keep, in the accounts that my clients trade, there's a little bit more cash in it. And for the larger equity stuff, we run DVP, and my clients, they get to keep their account. I mean, people who know that we segregate funds. But for retail brokerage, I just feel better knowing where that my money's a little bit safer. Brokerage firms, there is, you know, um, the securities and investor protection thing and everything, but it's a hassle. Take money out, especially if you are earning money every month trading. Definitely skim money out of that account every month,
Hmm.
because when you never know when some joker gets into a short position, and a clearing firm goes upside down, and next thing you know, your broker can't clear trades and your money's locked up. Things like that have been known to happen. It's less
Hmm.
and less today in this regulated environment. But we have a lot of our younger people and older people who are using offshore accounts to trade under. to trade equities to avoid the PDT rule. Those firms are built on thin air.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There is no investor protection, and good luck trying to get your money out of the Bahamas if something goes wrong. No bueno.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just be careful, take your money out, don't leave large amounts of money, and the people who run brokerage firms are going to kill me. But it's always better safe than sorry.
Well, no, absolutely, because you,
Right.
you got to protect it. You got to protect your role. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on, paying yourself, whether for your confidence level, if that makes sense? So let's say I have a month, Jay, and let's say it was like barely better than break even, right? Or a little bit. I had a decent, a little bit of profit. Just withdrawing at least some of it. So like, for my confidence, is there any merit to
There's,
that, or?
there is something to that. And there's an old story about Jesse Livermore going and looking at his money physically in cash,
Mm-hmm.
just to get a sense of it.
Right.
And especially now, because we live in a world where we can spend money in the blink of an eye, a click of a mouse, and it's a very painless way to make money. And
Yeah,
to
for
take
sure.
it further, we can get into a trade with a click of a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, you don't call your broker and your broker's like, I don't think that's such a good idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have, there's no checks and balances, right? So you click, you're in a trade. So that transaction of actually touching the money or seeing what that represents is kind of gone. And I think it's good to take some out a little while, and have a little cash around,
Yeah.
just to kind of make it real. It's not just all this stuff floating out there in cyberspace, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as far as, and I think, what I'm thinking along the lines of, our account. Now, let's say you start, you're down the line, you're actually getting a little consistent, with your trading, you're making money. And let's say you did it the right way, right? Like myself, I'm starting off small right now. Let's say I keep continuing on this path and I'm getting consistent. I'm going to want to up my size. What, cautions or advice would you give to people when they start to add some size? Because as we know, then emotions start to kick in. It can be a very difficult thing to do.
Adding size. There, some people, I guess it depends on how your mind works.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you start to size up, just do it like don't double. Like, okay, save your trading maybe 2 or 3 contracts, maybe add another 1 or 2 and see how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
See if you can feel the weight of that. Is it screwing with your head? Right? I got into the habit of doing this, and I kind of sound a little neurotic, but I kind of like to run a systems check on my own brain, where I'll be like, this morning in the room, I was like, oh, I missed that. Ooh, I missed that. I'm a little slow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I'm a little slower than I usually am today. Maybe something's off, it's always good to run that.
Self-monitor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
self-monitor and
Yeah.
see if that increase in size is causing you any stress. If it
Right.
is, scale back.
Right.
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 And just take it really slow, because man, like, especially if you're like a younger person, like you and in your 20s or 30s, you have 30, 40 years of trading ahead of you.
Right.
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 If
Mm-hmm.
you're going to do this, right. I know
Mm-hmm.
guys who are 70 who trade every day. Right. So you got so much time. It doesn't seem like it at first. Right. Everything seems to be going fast, and you're judging yourself, but think of it as a career in 40 years. Like, this is, you just, take it easy. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with just kind of easing into size.
Right, right. Makes a lot of sense, taking the long view approach. And this has been something that I haven't experienced in well, a little bit in trading. I've maybe been a little cavalier at times, and like, okay, because I'm starting off small, Jay. I'm trading small. Like, the money doesn't really even like mean much. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, let me feel it a little bit, and
But
I'll add some
yeah,
size,
oh yeah,
and
but
then I
I'm
feel
telling,
it, and then I
oh
feel
yeah,
it.
Yeah. No, it's true. And the thing is, though, when you're retail trading, like, look at me. I'm moving blocks around in my old work, right? 10 million shares of this to, I'm moving, 50 million shares in a float of a company at $3-4. That's some size, right? That's good money for
Mm-hmm.
like, dollar value. Then I go to trade one mini contract, and I take a $200 hit and I'm like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
$200, that wasn't even the commission I'd be paying my traders, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's different when you're retail trading, and you're right. Like you put it on and then you feel it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's very interesting, but
It
it's
is.
nice to have the micro contract to screw around with.
Definitely, and
Boy, I
to
tell you.
build, yeah, build your
Ugh.
confidence for sure. No, it's great. This is something I've struggled with in poker, and even some to this day, it's so hard to separate it because it's like I'll play higher stakes in poker. You know what I mean? That I'm
Mm,
used to, and maybe the game is good, or it's like I know the players are like. I'm better than these players, but it's still like when the money's on the line, your emotions get running. It's different because I'm playing double what I'm normally playing.
yeah.
And so it's a tough thing. And I guess it just, like you said, either comes with time or it's like maybe the more you expose yourself, just I think the main thing is don't put your account at risk, if
Oh
anything.
God, no, 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 no.
Don't
That
ever put your account at risk.
no, because the thing is, you got to respect the money that's in your account.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have a money tree in your backyard, right? You worked hard for that money, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, don't just give it away to the market. I mean, like, if
Yeah.
you're gonna give it away, go to Tiffany and buy your girlfriend something beautiful. Don't
Yeah.
don't give it to some market maker or some guy like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
think about it that way, right? Respect the money that you have in your account,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. If people are just
Yeah.
doing this for gambling, if you're doing this for recreation,
You
this
know,
is not the podcast for you.
Yeah. Or yeah, and the other thing is, guys who tell you how you should be trading your account, all you got to do is tell those guys, listen, why don't you fund me and I'll trade exactly how you say.
Yeah.
You'll see
Mm-hmm.
how quickly they shut up.
Yeah. Right. Right. Absolutely. So Jay, let's talk about journaling and stat keeping. And before we jump into that, I had a chance to check out this exquisite trading journal from our podcast sponsor, Trading Creed. One of the best looking, most detailed trading journals out there. Not only do they have detailed trading journals, but they also have impressive t-shirts, apparel, etc. at traderscreed.com. JJ, did you get your shirt yet?
Actually, I think it's on its way, but I've been waiting. I've been tied up. I haven't even gone and checked the mail yet. But yeah,
Well,
I
I mean,
probably will.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to step outside up in Saskatchewan either.
Hey, it's warm. It's above zero here.
Oh, it is. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Suntanning weather.
So JJ, if we were running a business, right, I'm sure we would have an accountant. We would keep stats of sales and,
Yes.
et cetera, whatever businesses do. So with trading, so how's that translate over?
Well, the journaling, like you just said, the journaling, the keeping track of, like, some people keep track of amazing amounts of stats, right? They go into spreadsheets. I am not that disciplined, right? I unfortunately was kind of like an undisciplined slob that came into retail trading, because when you're institutional trading, at when the bell rings and the market closes, the guys on the trade desk, those institutional guys who surf order flow like me,
Mm-hmm.
we go to the bar. Okay.
Right.
Prop traders and guys, who are, a little bit more involved, that's when they start journaling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they start doing homework for the next day, right? We don't have to do homework because we control the order flow, right? So
Yeah.
there's no homework. You guys kind of figure out what we're going to do tomorrow. Have a nice day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're off to the bar. These guys are journaling. Now, I didn't know that amount. I mean, I obviously knew that there was some dedication, but I had no idea how much discipline and dedication it took to be a successful retail trader.
Yeah.
Even to trade one damn micro lot and be consistent with it, right? is a skill set and a level of discipline that I was not ready for at all,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And that is the the keeping records, the keeping uh, track of, oh, okay, the market behaved like this at this price. Is it going to do that again? Where's inventory trapped? It was here last time, there last time. You're looking at these things. I never, never even bothered with these things. I mean, I would look at stocks maybe to short because I knew that the promoters were in trouble and they had to puke paper, right?
Hmm.
This is completely different, right? So yeah, very, very, very different. Once again, that discipline thing, and it's funny because I told everybody in the room this week. I said, institutional trading when you're surfing order flow, it's like being in a really, really fancy nightclub and all the beautiful women actually really like you, right?
Yeah.
Retail trading is like trying to cross a freeway wearing nothing but a towel, right? And you're dodging semis, right? Totally different worlds, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, discipline, boy. Now I've kind of embraced the discipline
Mhm.
and, things turned around.
Wait, why would we be in a towel
Well,
running on the freeway?
it's just, things happen.
Some sticky situations. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I mean, this is a performance sport. I think it was Linda, when we talked to Linda. Well, one, we were both like, okay, wow, we're not working hard enough.
Oh,
Like
no
we're
kidding.
not
Oh my
putting enough
God.
hours.
Yeah.
Um,
Like the president isn't working hard enough. When you're like,
yeah,
she's one of the hardest working people I've ever met.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, because we get paid. Hey, you get paid on performance, and like I know it's corny, but it's like treating it like an athlete, like how an athlete treats themselves and their
Yeah.
preparation, etc. I mean, it's not to both a performance based
Yeah.
on performance. And I used to think too, Jay, like I was, like if people think you can just keep track of all this like in your mind and stuff, like
Uh,
you can't. It's such a
oh,
big, like I was even looking at my stats this weekend and just the light it shed on certain things I was looking at for me.
yeah. No, no, definitely. No, no, no. I thought that too. I'm like, I mean, I got this, right? No problem. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what do I need to write this down for? Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I mean, listen, if you went on an institutional desk in Jersey and you asked those guys back in the day, oh, you got a journal, they're like, what is this frickin' poetry class?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
What?
Like,
Yeah.
what are we
You
doing?
you sissy? What are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you know, hey, where's my beatball sub? Like,
Yeah.
shut up. Like, where's my
Yeah.
food? Right? Like, yeah, so it's a completely different world, journaling, right? But
Yeah.
you have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to do it, and it makes you better.
Now let me ask you this, Jay. Like personally, like what are some of the stuff that like you note? Are you noting like um maybe your emotional state? Are you obviously I know you're jotting stuff down specific to the market. Like, do you mind diving a little bit in what you do?
Definitely for me, it's more emotional state
Hmm.
because I find um, I am not, even though I'm an educator, I'm still learning every single day, and I still have trouble trading if I'm not kind of at peace in my head. So like, it's kind of weird to say, but sometimes like I'll feel a little off. And also because I'm a 51-year-old guy with a heart condition, so they have me on these crazy medications, right? Blood pressure and stuff like that. So every once in a while, like I'll feel like, sometimes you feel really good, sometimes you feel just a little off or a little fuzzy. And I always say to myself, like, would I ride a motorcycle right now? Would I hop on a motorcycle and go blasting around? And I'd be like, no, I'm not really quite with it. That means I'm not supposed to trade.
Yeah.
So that's when I sit and I just watch price action and I write down how it acts at a level and what are they front running that level, or are they blasting through it, or did they tag it and move back? Things like that. I'll sit there and watch, and then I'll note down that was feeling tired. My reflexes aren't really that sharp. Sometimes I'll take a couple of trades on a simulator to see if my like whether I'm with it or not.
Yeah.
And if I take one and I'm just completely wrong, I'm like, oh, okay, I need to like need to do more homework.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, like that's one thing I think look up to, like your skill sets, and is your how cognizant you are of your state of being mentally, and how, and like sometimes I'm even like, oh man, like he's overcautious, I want to,
Oh
like
yeah,
I'm like a
yeah,
little, I definitely have a little bit more like aggression in
of
my, like,
course,
and I think it comes
yeah,
from poker, because in poker, like,
yeah,
winning poker is aggressive poker. And like,
yeah,
so I want to be in there, I want to be trading, but like, for example, what happened to me Monday, and as you know, like maybe some stuff going on in my life, et cetera, et cetera. I have
yeah,
one bad trade. I think I'm okay though, right? I'm like, oh no, I'm in the zone. I play poker.
yeah,
I've studied psychology, da da da. But one bad trade led to another, it, like set me off, and then I'm revenge trading the rest of the day, trying to get back even.
yeah. Now
And I wasn't cognizant. I wasn't, Whereas
I've
you, I feel like you would have stepped back. Okay, let me boom, 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 or whatever the case may be.
I have done that revenge trading thing. I just didn't know it was called that at the time.
Uh-huh.
Right. Somebody said, because I told somebody exactly what you said, and they like, oh, you were revenge trading. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
I've never heard of that. Right. Because they have all these terms in retail trading that I've never heard of.
yeah,
So yeah, I've done it. I just didn't know that it was called that. But it is one of those things where you kind of get a little, like, your back gets up a little bit, and especially if you have the demon of thinking that you're a institutional elite trader,
yeah,
right? How could I
yeah.
take this $300 loss? It's an insult, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So you gotta.
Right, right, for sure. No, no, putting myself in your shoes and understanding that. Yeah, and yeah, it's like
It's like ego,
you
right?
right, right, right,
Like,
right.
how
But you
dare
do,
you?
yeah, but you do such a great job of mentaling or monitoring your mental state, and like you don't get overconfident. You always come humble every day,
That's the
and that's something I aspire to do.
that's the one line, the best line from Wall Street, right? We are only just one trade away from humility,
It's
right?
hard. It's hard. Yeah, because I did great last week. And then
Yeah,
I came in Monday,
yeah.
probably a little overconfident. I wasn't aware that I have stuff going on in my life, so I'm a little more extra emotional
Oh yeah.
as of late. So one bad thing goes, it
Oh,
can.
and that life, the emotional stuff in your life and trading, because the thing is, we don't really work in an environment where anybody else can shoulder any of the work.
Right.
Right? It's not like we're working in an office and they're like, "Hey, Marv, can you get the photocopying for me this afternoon?" Or, like, or can you
Hmm.
do the TPS reports, right?
Hmm.
Like in that movie Office Space, right?
Yeah.
But you have nobody else, right? It's all on you, and that wears and grinds a person down. So when you introduce something like, "Oh, I had a fight with my girlfriend," right, and I only slept an hour, maybe you shouldn't be trading,
Yeah. Yep.
right?
It's hard.
It,
It's
it
a hard
is.
thing to too, because it kind of
Yeah.
leads me into the next topic I wanted to talk about, right? Is because it's like, hey, if I'm not in front of the screen, hey, if I'm not in a trade, hey, how am I making money then?
Oh, that's the
Yeah. Oh,
worst.
and it's another. This is another one of the demons. I guess like all these things I compiled, Jay, is just like the stuff. For
No,
me, like
no,
it's
but it's
tough.
common. It's
Yeah.
common. It happened to me too, because with me on a trade desk, your phone's supposed to be ringing off the hook, because every time your phone rings, it's money. So when that doesn't happen and you're sitting in a room by yourself, um, and you're like, I haven't taken a trade, I haven't made any money, I'm a bloody loser. What the hell's going on? I can't pull the trigger. And then you start to get into this kind of like a cycle of beating yourself up, right? And then there goes your perception, like right away,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
That is the hardest thing to do. So what I do, and a lot of people don't have this experience, but what I did was I started thinking about when I'm trying to trap a short in my deal. Do I do it right away, or do I take my time and I let them bury themselves and then I trap them? Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the way. It's like, it's a process, right? So then, because of Dalton, thank God, and Resnicek, they said we're structural traders, right? So structure needs time to build itself out, to reveal itself, right?
Hmm.
So that waiting for it to build itself out is not a bad thing, right? We're being a little bit more, we're being sharper, right?
Yeah.
So that really helped me with that, right?
Yeah.
And then I had to think about, because I come from a science background too, nobody knows, but I did 4 years of microbiology. I try and look at this stuff like an experiment. And I think maybe that's why guys like Simons and the quant
No,
guys
absolutely. Yeah.
maybe have an edge, because they look at things like in an experimental and they follow
Absolutely.
the scientific method.
Yeah.
So they don't have an emotional attachment to the outcome.
Hmm.
But of course, this, we have an emotional attachment to the outcome because it's money. So when we're not doing anything but writing notes, it doesn't feel like, the money's not coming in the cash register,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So it's
It's
that's
tricky.
something that you got to, but that all is preparation, right? All of
Hmm.
that is preparation, like like you're lining up for a shot, or you're like a sniper, or like
Uh-huh.
that's all the prep work. Think of it that way,
Yeah, no,
right?
I think that's a good point. Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
Like a sniper. I like that,
mhm.
I like looking at it that way. Yeah,
One shot, one kill, right?
Yep, yep.
So like you're doing all the prep work. That's like figuring out the habits of your victim, right?
Hmm.
Kind of maybe think of it like that, like you're a hitman,
Hmm.
right? Do whatever it takes, right? Because in this game, folks, I mean, I'm not advocating anything bad, but do whatever it takes to make your mind right, because this is hard enough as it is, right? So you have to
Definitely.
picture yourself that way to calm yourself down, to not be emotional. And it also helps to know what the hell they're doing on the other side too.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, no, I mean, this topic right here, if I've, days I wasn't feeling good, right? And I can only mostly draw from poker, way more experience. Like on the days I haven't felt like playing, or I wasn't like in the zone, or whatever you may be, I would still be like, no, well, if I'm not playing, I'm not making money. I would have,
Hmm.
if I would have not played on those days, I've probably have so much more money than I do right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, why, and I kick myself every day. I'm like, why the F did I even play? Why the hell
Right.
did I even sign on today?
And the other thing too is, unfortunately, trading seems to be one of those things where you can't really learn it from a book or somebody else telling you.
Right.
You have to experience the pain of it for yourself, right? And that's tough,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's like like, and some people are like really stubborn, so they got to experience the pain a few times,
Hmm.
right? But it's almost like people will tell you, don't do this, don't do that, and then you go and do it anyway,
Yeah.
right? So that's another thing about this. Is a very weird way to make a living,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because there's really no rules, right?
Yeah.
So you have to establish rules for yourself,
Right. Right.
right?
You gotta
Which,
personalize it for you. Yeah.
like, and if you're an undisciplined slob like me, right? It's like, oh, this is work, right? But then once I had started watching some of these traders and realized that, oh, I do have a love for this stuff. This is just part of it.
Right.
And that boring stuff actually, like that boring stuff is like dieting and hitting the gym, right?
Right. Right.
Eventually you actually get into it,
Exactly. Right.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. You gotta have a passion for it. Then like those
Yeah.
little things become, yeah, just part of the process. They become enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a tough thing. Okay. So I guess the next thing here, um, I guess, for people too, right? Because identifying a goal, right? Or like, why are you trading? What are your goals?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, are you aspiring to be professional? Are you a professional? Or is this
Mhm.
a side? Or is this a side income? Because I would imagine you're going to have, probably similar approaches, but there's going to be different nuances to both, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Uh, we realize, you have to fit it. Don't try and mold yourself that way. Make the market fit you. Like, if you are working a full-time job, maybe position trading, or that sort of thing, or swing trading might be better for you. If you can't sit and watch price action all the time in the day time frame, hey, nobody has not a lot of people have the luxury of being able to sit in front of a screen, right?
Yeah.
For 20 hours a day. I was lucky because my jobs or the work I do, I've always worked in the market, so I'm always in front of a screen. So I just added another screen and put the TPOs on there. And when I wasn't trying to rein in a rogue market maker, or keep a promoter from doing something stupid, I'm learning profile. So I'm always in front of the screen, right? So I was lucky that way, right? Because yeah, screen time is a big thing. So you have to mold around your career. So you got
Yeah.
to trade you trade your lifestyle and you trade your personality, and make it work for you, right?
hmm hmm Now for people who, let's say, are working a job, but this is like their aspirations, what maybe some advice, some, words of the wise that you would give them? I'm assuming you would probably say, hey, like, worry about, you know, building the account, starting small, don't get too reckless. What else? What else do you think?
I would just really focus on learning to trade well,
Hmm
and learning the markets, and learning what makes, you got to understand there's an agenda behind all of this. We don't just come here for our health. People come to this marketplace to sell something. They come here because they want to sell you something that they paid a lot less money for. It's just
hmm
like Walmart. It's no different,
hmm
right? So when you come in there, realize that there is an agenda, right? And learn that and make it work for you. Does that sort of,
hmm
you
No,
know?
no, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
too, for people that aspire to do this for a living, you have to understand, like we even mentioned before in the beginning of the podcast, the good and the bad, right? And I think some things
Yeah.
that people don't think about, right? You're going to have to pay for your own insurance. Well, I know, I don't know
Yeah.
how it is in Canada, but in the US, I mean, that's like, for me being a professional poker player, I got to pay for my own insurance. My
Oh
job don't
yeah.
provide it.
Oh yeah. Everything, you're self-employed.
That
Right.
that's a thing. You got to think about
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah.
I don't know how the trading works for taxes, but that's
Yeah.
a big issue
Yeah.
too. Your winnings you're gonna have to get taxed on.
Hmm.
Um, and you got to think about the emotional tax
That's true
as
too.
well. And it kind of like pains me to admit this, but it's like when I go through rough times in poker, it does affect my personal relationships
Of
with
course.
people. And it's something like I still feel bad about to this day because it's not right to the people around me.
Exactly. I know exactly, because I went through it on the deal side of the market when deals went badly, and things went bad, or and then your personal life just gets ripped apart by it, right?
Yeah.
It is, um, the market is not a forgiving place, at all for, careers. Read the stories, and it goes back hundreds of years. What do they say? There's Wall Street's got a church on one end, a graveyard on the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough place, man. People. I've had at least 10 to 12 buddies who have committed suicide. Right?
Yeah. Wow.
This takes its toll. Now, they weren't retail traders. A lot of them were institutional market makers, and some of them were stock promoters. But it really messes with your head. There were times after 9/11 where I thought I was completely worthless, because my whole identity
Yeah.
was
Right.
caught up being successful as a trader. And after 9/11, when that stopped, boom, I was a nobody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I guess
And
that's like the root of the issue. There is the
oh
ego, right?
yeah,
Because that's
right,
mine.
there
That's
you go.
mine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's hard to take. And so it's just that this, I'm not trying to discourage people from doing this. Retail trading is a wonderful thing, because once you learn how to trade, nobody can take that away from you,
Yeah.
right? But and the Penguin taught me that. Shout out to him.
hmm
But wherever he is, he's probably shaking down some promoter right now for 5 million shares at a 50% discount. But you know, you really have to have. I would recommend to, if you're going to go into this, uh, try and try and look after your mental health,
Definitely.
um,
Definitely.
because this market, and getting caught up in these kind of markets, are they can really hurt people. I mean, like I'm sure people were short Tesla at $600 today,
Hmm.
and the thing just ran like
Shout out to Bill Perkins.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, yeah, it's yeah, and like you were saying, like I don't think we're saying this to dissuade people from pursuing this. It's just more of giving people a realistic view, not glamorizing it, and that you better have a passion for this. Because if these are things you're gonna go through, you damn well better have a passion for it, or it's not gonna be for you.
Yeah, my whole thing with this, and this is why I teach people how how the mechanics work, and this is how this works. I just want people to have a fair shot,
Yeah, right.
right?
Yeah.
Like I feel coming, and it's almost like this. It's like a redemption thing I'm trying to do for selling bucket loads of stock into the U.S. market.
Yeah.
These people, but I just want them to have not even a shot, at least to have, because usually what happens is like this market, people walk into it and they get shot in the back. Like they don't even have a chance, right? It's
Hmm.
like we just hit them over their head and take their money and they didn't even know what happened, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of help them at least get some sort of a shot where they have some way, like forget about making money right away. Let's keep you from getting hit by a Mack truck that's going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start with that, and then we can progress into becoming, but let's keep you alive at first.
Definitely. Yeah, because you
You know,
can't trade if you don't have any money.
yeah, you
And
can't, and then yeah, and that's a downward spiral too, because
yeah.
I've been in periods of time where you don't have any money, right? You go from driving a Porsche to taking the bus. You're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, self
Yeah.
worth. Hello.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to protect it, and it helps me looking at things this way, right? Learning to trade is that like I'm just giving myself a chance to become successful. As long as I don't blow up my account, I'm
Yeah,
building up screen time. I'm building up, I'm just building my skills until I have the chance to become consistent and then
yeah.
make money. Because if you
And
blow yourself up, you're not going to even have a chance. You're not even giving yourself a chance.
the thing is, have some fun with it, right? It's a good experience. Learn, take your time, and enjoy it along the way. Okay, even when you take losses, it's a business. A loss is the cost of doing business,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's you're saying. Yeah.
Like it's like if you had a Subway sandwich shop, you would pay money for marketing, for advertising, for you got to pay the water bill, the electricity bill, but you want to, as a smart business owner, keep your costs low and your profits high,
Yep.
right? So keep those losses, right? Don't even think of them as, like, when you pay your water bill, right? If you owned a restaurant and you're paying the electric bill, do you feel bad about yourself?
I'm on tilt. I got to pay the water bill this month. What the
Right?
hell?
It's like, oh, I've lost my self-worth.
Yeah.
That's what a trading loss is,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
It's nothing more than that,
Yeah.
right? You're a sentient human being. This is just, what? In the end, all of this is just worthless paper
Yeah.
that we're pushing around on electronic screens,
Yeah.
right? Like, don't ever forget that. It's not worth you beating yourself up that much about it, right? It's just the cost of doing business. Keep it small, be cheap, be cheap like Russell Peters, keep those losses small, right?
Hmm.
And enjoy the process of learning. Use smaller contracts, smaller size, so you don't take big hits, right? Learn how to trade well and enjoy the process,
Hmm.
right? Otherwise it gets really heavy really fast.
Right, right. It's got to remain fun. And
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to bring up that I think gets overlooked, if this is if you are going to do this for a profession, is, we work from home, JJ. We're in front of a screen.
Yeah.
We have a lack of social interaction that people who have
Oh,
regular jobs have. What type of effects does that have on you?
um,
Or how do you go about, yeah,
I
just thoughts in general. Yeah.
it has a bad effect on me. I have not socialized in such a long time, especially as soon as I started looking at equities on TPO charts. And it also doesn't help that none of my friends want to talk trading with me. As soon as I even open my mouth about trading, they're like, shut up, JJ,
Hmm.
right? Like they don't
Hmm.
want to hear it, right? So that's been tough. I live in a place where people don't trade. Generally, they're hardworking, great people, and they don't want to hear anything about Wall Street because they think we're like, they think we're like the Antichrist. So,
Yeah.
it's a little tough. I'm not the best example of a person who lives a balanced life, unfortunately. And I would really, really say, don't be like me. Go do normal things, socialize, spend time with your family. Like, I
Right.
talk to a lot of people who are like, I'm stuck, I've got to trade this weekend. I'm like, you got a wife and 2 kids, man. Go enjoy your time with your family.
Yeah.
Right? The market's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, go and do, I, like things like, if I had a normal life, I'd want to, I look at stuff like that and I go, I'd like to do that,
Mm-hmm.
just go be normal instead of sitting here looking at this chart, right?
That's why. So,
It's
so for
like,
all the listeners, that's why he always encourages me to get into some trouble down here, so
yeah, you got to
he can
enjoy
live through me.
life, right? Thank God I had a good time when I was in my 20s and 30s, right? Because I'm working my butt off. This retail trading thing is no joke,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So go enjoy yourself, have a good time,
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
it's, enjoy your family. Don't, the market's always going to be there. And if you don't get it today and there's something that don't worry, in 3 weeks, you'll get it,
Yeah.
right? It's just screen time. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's. I mean, at least for myself, it's very important for me to, like there's been days where I just locked in the house, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
just either trading poker,
Trading
trading
poker.
poker,
Yeah. Right.
nothing else. And
The
it's
only
like, it
guy.
drives you nuts. It'll drive you nuts. My performance
Oh
goes
yeah.
down.
Yeah. Right.
It,
Yeah. You need that away time sometimes to clear your head.
yeah.
I find this is really weird. Sometimes after the morning session, I'll go and like run some errands and I'll come back and I can see the market so clear.
Right. Right.
It's just really weird. I'm like, oh, and I just like click in, so yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's something I really, really need to work on. And the other thing too is sitting all day in these damn chairs. Getting exercise is
Right.
something that,
Right. For sure.
you know,
Yeah. That's big. That's big.
yeah,
Yeah. And as you know, like, that's why I like, it's kind of like going to the gym is like a dual purpose for me. I usually
yeah,
go in the afternoon and it's like, okay, yeah, want to get up, moving, stay in shape. And then also that's where I get a lot of my social interactions is at the
yes, you do
gym.
indeed
So,
have a lot of social interaction at the gym.
so at least, at least to just, I don't know, we're human beings. We're meant to interact. We're social creatures. You know what I mean? It's just like, at least for me, that's something I need. I need to talk to people. I need to have relationships, et cetera, et cetera. Otherwise, I think it's just going to kill my
Yeah,
performance. But
no, it's no, it's really, really, it's important, right? Otherwise, you start going a little nuts.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, Jay, I hear people talk about having daily goals,
Mhm.
whether that's, I mean, I guess a lot of times it's a monetary amount. And now I assume this is going to be very individualized. It's going to be very personal to people. What are your thoughts about setting a goal, and do you do that?
I tried that; it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I tried doing I got to make $300 to $500 a day thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where I got that from. Somebody told me that, and I just grabbed it and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, going to make $300 to $500 a day. And then on the days that you don't or you lose money, you're like, it started to mess with my head. And then a buddy of mine, said, "Listen, man, we just need to learn how to trade well." Right? I think he picked it up from Dalton, or I don't know where he went and got this from. Right?
Yeah.
And he said we just need to learn how to trade well. And I started getting away from that. And when I got away from that, the money started to flow in.
Right.
Right? But
Right.
I found that having a monetary goal in trading, when you're starting, I think maybe when you're, I don't know, because I haven't gotten to that level yet as a retail trader. But I think the thing is to trade well, to be disciplined, to follow your process,
Mm-hmm.
and to cut losses, and just think like a business. And if I do this, this will increase my profits by so
Right.
much.
Like worrying about the process, and then the results will take
Yeah,
care of itself.
right.
Right. Yeah.
And my risk is here, right? Always have that risk in place.
Yeah.
Because these markets, when they turn haywire, you definitely want stops. But yeah,
Definitely.
I tried that and it didn't work. And somebody told me that you have to do it. You have to have a goal. You have to, and I think he was like a performance coach or something like that. So I tried to take that kind of Tony Robbins aspect of it to the trading thing, and it didn't really work out for me because it started to mess with my head when I didn't make the money. And
Right,
then I
right.
would think, oh, and then once even I thought, oh, I didn't make 300 today, maybe I'll make 600 tomorrow, right?
Hmm.
It's bad thinking, right?
Definitely, definitely.
Because you're not thinking about, is this a good financial decision right now? Is this a sound business decision going long here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Given what's going on, I'm going long because I need to make $600 today, right?
Right, right, right. Your thinking's just
Uh,
way off. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
it's
I
not
agree. I agree with you, Jay.
right.
I know people that are successful that
There
do
might be a
have
way to
daily
do it.
goals.
I'm not saying this is wrong, but for me, it didn't work because I screwed it up. I screwed it up somehow. The other people I've heard do it and it works. So if anybody knows, I'm
Well,
always
I
open to
think,
learning.
yeah, I just think, I think this might be one of those things where, hey, it's not good for me or you. Because I agree with you. I think setting daily goals is bad because it'll definitely lead me to pressing for sure.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean? I'll definitely press in the trades.
yeah, definitely. Like my daily goal is don't screw up.
Yeah,
Uh, you know,
yeah.
that was like you know that and that was and it became that and then I just actually started enjoying watching price action and structures develop and watching these tiny little details.
Hmm.
And then when I kind of got zoned into that, I found that I really loved it so much that I forgot. You kind of forget about. Doesn't sound it doesn't sound like a normal thing to say, but you forget about the money, right?
Yeah.
And I think that happens because we had that prop guy, our buddy, who's a prop guy down in Texas, and he trades 1,000, 2,000 mini contracts, and he trades size, and he makes ungodly amounts of money, and he drives a Toyota,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like there's no Lamborghini, right?
Hmm. No,
So,
because he's a grinder, man. He's just lives, breathes, sleeps the market, man. That
oh
guy is
yeah,
intense.
yeah, you can
But
ask him his macro view, this view, that view, like he's got it down, right?
yeah,
And so and the amount of discipline,
yeah,
um,
you gotta
you
love
know,
it.
yeah,
I think there is something to be said. I don't mind this approach right there. I know there's people, and there's someone who I talk to, right? Like if he hits a goal, I guess there's a certain number in the morning, he'll just lock it in. Boom, that's
yes,
it. I'm done for the rest of the day. And I think there is something to be said for just booking wins.
that's yeah, I think that's a good thing,
It keeps
you
you
know.
keeps you
Uh,
in a
uh,
good mental space.
yeah,
You know what I'm
I got
saying? You feel good the next day, builds confidence.
yeah, and sometimes that maybe that is the thing, I hit this number, I'll step away, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's definitely something to be said for that. Now, another good approach that I learned, and I learned this from Steve. Shout out to Steve, producer of our podcast. I guess he's the producer, right?
Oh yeah.
Shout out to him. I don't know if he learned this, if this is out in retail trading, but I guess he calls it the 1% rule, right? And so you never want to risk in any one trade more than 1% of your account. Now, I think that sounds like a sound approach. Maybe it's individualized. Do you think that I mean, I don't think it's probably ever a bad idea to do that, but I know for you yourself, some of these things I ask you, and you're like, oh, well, I just use common sense. I just use common
Yeah,
sense. Well, there's some people who don't have common sense, Jay.
yeah, no,
You
that
know,
sounds like a good rule. I mean, because see, that's another thing where I come from. You wouldn't even think about that because here's the thing, folks, that you guys don't know. When I was trading my own account on the trade desk, if I took a $5,000 loss, I could get one of my market makers to stuff it somewhere for me
yeah.
because I give them that double that in order flow that day, so they take the hit for me. So that sort of thing causes you to have the worst habits,
Hmm.
right? So, you know, it's like you have no discipline when somebody will take a $20,000 hit for you, right? So,
Yeah.
to have rules like that, 1% of the account, whatever you set your numbers at, definitely,
Hmm.
right? Definitely a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I got nothing against that at all.
Yeah.
No, especially for someone, if you're coming into this, and be honest with yourself. If you don't have the discipline, say, I don't have the discipline, I'm going to have to work to develop it. And these are the things I'm going to do to develop that discipline,
Yeah. Right. Right.
right?
Then it's vital. Then it's vital. I
That's the
like
only
it.
thing. That's the
I,
only thing that saved me, was me being honest with myself and going,
yeah.
listen, schmuck,
Right.
like, get with the program here, right? Quit horsing around and do all this stuff that they're telling you to do,
Right.
you know?
Right, definitely. Yeah, no, I like it because it's like even if you go on a downswing, right? Like you just have 10 losing trades in a row, you're only down 10% on the account,
Yeah, no,
and
that
that's
totally makes
salvageable.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's
that's
salvageable.
eligible, right? And then, if once again learning how to trade, use something like the micro, where if you have a bad day, it's $60,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that's recoverable,
Definitely.
right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and I think kind of like circling, back to what we were saying about like booking wins, right? Here's another thing I heard, protecting your winnings from the morning session. And I kind of like really like this. And I got this from Steve again. So shout out to him. What he does, and hopefully he doesn't mind me sharing this, is that like if he's trading really well in the morning and he's up on an account, he'll keep trading because he prescribes to the method like, hey, I'm in the zone. I'm seeing the market really well. I'm gonna keep my eyes open. I'm gonna keep watching the market, trade what it gives me. But if he starts losing, if he loses 30% on what he's up, he'll shut it down. So he at least locks in 70% profit for the day. That's it. But he also allows himself to have monster days for when he really is in the zone by continuing the trade throughout the day, as opposed to shutting it down in the morning like some do. What do you think about that?
That's good if it works. If it works for him, if he can. The thing is, he has the discipline to stop.
Right. Well, yeah, you have to. If you go down 30%, you must stop. Boom, out.
Yeah, of those
Wrap it up.
profits.
Yeah.
But who has the discipline to stop? Some people will go, oh, I'm 35, oh, 40, oh, it's 10% I can make that back, right?
Yeah. Right.
Right. That's, if that creeps in, don't do that.
Right.
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 Just stop. Right.
Definitely.
Don't 30, 40, shmorty. Don't, just stop.
Hmm.
Right. Like it, I am a big fan of hit and run trading when you're starting, right?
Hmm.
Smash and grab. You run in there, you grab your money, and you run the hell out, right? Don't wait around. Just get in, get out. And then, you know what? You got a little bit of a stash for the day? Go, right?
Hmm.
Like Russell Peters says, take it and go, right? Um, those kinds of things that he's talking about, you got to remember, he's been doing this for a while,
Yeah. Right.
right? And he's got, this is also a man who has a work ethic that would put anyone to shame, right? So he has discipline,
Yeah.
right?
He's very disciplined. Yeah, he
He's a
is.
very disciplined
Yeah.
individual,
Yeah.
right? I
Hmm.
know, because he is a savage marketer. Like I wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom. This guy's tweeting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he has that work ethic and that discipline where he can hold himself to 30%,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
being honest.
Yeah. No, I like it a lot. And even when he was explaining it to me, it's like I can take this approach to poker.
Yeah,
And I think it's good going circling back because I think it's like at least helpful to me, Jay,
yeah,
right? Is like
yeah,
booking wins for the day.
yeah,
I think it's crucial because I mean, especially for someone who, I don't do trading for a living, but for poker for a living, okay. I had a positive day. That's good. Boom.
yeah.
And it keeps
That's
me good mentally.
the thing. I took my bread to the market. I sold the bread. I got my money.
Yeah.
Now on the way home, do I stop at the casino,
Right.
right? Or
Right.
do I go home and be a good boy,
Yeah.
right? Like, and do I have money the next day,
Uh-huh.
right? Because I sold my bread at the market, I got my money, then I go to the casino, I lose it all. Now I got to go borrow money for tomorrow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right. Right. I think thinking about this topic, and I think it's very interesting. I think there's something to be said though, like for those days, we all have those days when we're in that flow state, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing things really well, and I think there's something to be said as far as like maximizing your earnings, right? Well, for the year, for the month, for whatever, is maximizing your time when you're in that zone. Staying alert, And but like you said, this also comes with, I imagine, with time, with discipline, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that's something that you develop over time,
Yeah, right,
right?
right.
I think, um, for newer traders, I'm all about building the account, right? And you'll be surprised, um, like so let's just take a mini account for example, right? And you make $50 a day over a 20-day period, that adds up,
Definitely. Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
If you're just making a little bit here and there and you're grinding it out, that's building the account. It's getting you used to price action. It's getting you used to all of these things, um, pressing and being on a roll with size. I think you need the experience to know when you're actually doing it. Or my whole thing with that is sometimes, you can get a little elated when you have a win in trading
Oh sure. Yeah.
or a series of
Definitely.
wins.
Definitely.
And we have a saying in Saskatchewan: you get a little too big for your britches.
Hmm.
And next thing you know, like I think it said in Liar's Poker, as soon as you're patting yourself on the back, you get a swift kick to the nuts. So I'm a very cautious guy, can't you tell? When it comes to this, because you worked for your money, right? Even if you stole your money, you worked hard to steal it. So like, whatever, right? Just
Hmm.
respect the money. Um, Take it slow with this stuff. Steve's been trading for how long now?
No, I mean years. I have 5 years or more,
Was it?
at
I
least.
thought it was 10, but he's been trading for a long time. And the other thing too, he's been around that crowd of very disciplined retail traders,
Hmm.
right? He runs in a circle with people who are very by the book,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
maybe that will help, right? So, a lot of these things, just, be really, really strict with yourself and you'll kind of know when to ease up a little bit,
Yeah.
you know?
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And I think like really, I think like this whole conversation we've been having is, I don't think it's like, we're not telling people, hey, do this, do that, right? Because these things aren't
No,
black and white. We're giving,
no.
I think we're just more giving suggestions. We're giving ideas. We're just talking things out. And
Yeah,
then you take what you want, you take what you don't want, and you personalize it for
yeah,
yourself. Right.
definitely.
Right. Right.
Definitely. Got to
Now,
make it work for you.
definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a hard part too, because it's like, oh, I just want rules. No, tell me what to do. Tell me now what to do.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
that simple. It's,
That's why when people say, I want to learn how to trade, or, help me, I'm like, well, what kind of, like, what do you do? What do you trade? What do you want to do? Uh, are you an impatient person?
mm-hmm,
You know, I had a client of mine once who was a partner at a very, very big law firm, and he was a litigator. So he liked to fight. So he'd always fight the tape. And I'd be like, what are you doing? You're not in court, you know? So,
That's funny. Yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah.
because different, I think certain people's certain backgrounds can lend themselves to being helpful to trading, and some
Oh,
backgrounds
yeah,
are definitely not helpful to
definitely.
trading in certain
Yeah.
respects. What would you say to someone, JJ, who struggles with being okay with having, like, because there's times where it's, hey, it's okay to take a small loss here. Like you always say, the cost of doing business.
Mhm.
What would you say to someone who has troubles either booking small losses or small wins? Because sometimes it could be tilting, even having a small win.
Because
Like you moved your
you're,
stop up
yeah, you're
and
not
you
looking.
got stopped, and you're like, oh, I really wanted to go
Yeah,
here.
at first it's frustrating. It's
Mhm.
happened to me. The more and more you look at it like a business, the more not you will not be insulted by a small win,
Right.
right?
Cost of doing business. Yeah.
And a small win is a win,
Right. It's a
right?
win. A win's a win. Yeah.
They add up. They add
Yep.
up, right?
Yeah.
As Al Davis said, just win, baby.
Just a win, baby.
Right? Doesn't have to be pretty,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Uh,
I think, speaking for myself, and I'm sure there's others who think like me, it's, I'm a little more cavalier, Jay. I
yeah,
sometimes I just I want that big win, and I don't, and it's tough having that long term view of, hey, build the account, do it, do it the right way. It's going to, as opposed to, I
yeah.
want it now, I want it now, I want it now.
It's tough. Well, hey,
Definitely.
the problem with trading, the whole problem with trading and why people have such a hard time with it is trading is the long game and being patient. we live in a society that is an instant gratification society.
Yeah.
Where you want news, you don't even need to touch, they don't even have buttons anymore that you press to get stuff, right? You touch a screen, you get stuff, right? Amazon Prime, right? Next thing you know, you click the mouse, you put your hand, the box is going to be in your hand. You know, they're going to have, they're going to have AI that reads your mind and knows what you want before you order it, right? So that's the problem. We get everything we want instantly. We have 4,000 channels to look at. We have 25G cell phone service, right? It's everything has to be now, right away, right? It's instant gratification. So it's really hard when you go into something where you're not getting gratified quickly, right? Because you're getting beat up, like you're getting run over, stopped out, chopped up. This is not gratifying, right? So the more and more you just think, okay, it's a business, right? Right? Okay, I'm a plumber. I got to unclog this toilet. It's not really going to be gratifying, but it's going to pay, right?
Yeah.
It helps if you think, just really, really think about it like that, right? That's why, like I always say at the end of the day, when they blow out inventory on the ES, I'm like, okay, we're wiping down the countertops, sweeping the floors, putting everything away for tomorrow, time to wash the dishes. It's just maintenance, right? So you just look at it that way. It kind of helps you.
Definitely. It does.
It's not as dramatic.
Right. Exactly. And just want to remind the listeners, go pick up your trading journal at traderscreed.com. We've been talking about how important this is. Go pick it up. It's detailed. It looks good. Pick up a t-shirt while you're at it. Look out for the one where I'm modeling the tank top. As you can see, I've been going to the gym. We're out here, JJ. We're doing big things. Shout out to Traders Creed, our sponsor. Go to traderscreed.com. Go pick up some apparel for loved ones, for yourself. Get that trading journal. So, JJ, we hit a lot of things. I think it's been good. I mean, anything else that you think we've missed that we haven't talked about?
No, I think we did go through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it's important, and I think we both want to kind of to get to some of like more of the nitty gritty topics that often don't get discussed or get overlooked, what have you.
All the boring stuff.
Yeah,
but all the stuff that lays the foundation, man.
Yeah.
It's all the stuff. Let's put it to you this way. It's all the stuff that the foundation for the Lamborghini is built. You build the Lamborghini on this foundation. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you guys, you stick to your guns. You do this right. Hell, man, you'll have a fleet of bloody Lamborghinis. Right. Don't worry about it.
Can't wait.
Can't
wait. So that concludes today's episode of Confessions of a Market Maker. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, please rate and review it for us. If you guys are interested in learning market profile, if you're keen on trading a liquid market, if you got a small account, if you trade crude oil, equities, whatever, come join JJ and I at microefutures.com. JJ, any parting thoughts for the listeners?
No, just enjoy it. Have a good time, and enjoy the journey. Really, really enjoy the journey.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Enjoy the journey. Wise words. So for the gorilla of House Street, I'm Cannoli Fingers. You stop, though.
Definitely. Have a great night, folks.